Hello, good evening, and welcome back. More coronavirus. Boris Johnson brands coronavirus the worst public health crisis in a generation and estimates up to 10,000 Britons are already infected and many more will die, but still stops short of shutting schools and banning public gatherings. And more than that, even though apparently, the NHS is in such a good position because we're set up just after the Second World War, well, no, given that there are an estimate 10,000 Britons already infected, then why the hell can we not get testing done as we want to? Because, hey, the NHS doesn't allow it, and they're looking after themselves and not after you. So, thanks, government-run health service. Now you're just saying, you're fucked. Brilliant. I'm so glad I pay money in for this. But, good news. Given that people will be self-isolating because they have to now, we're saying, yes, with coronavirus, it's a respiratory illness, therefore you'll be needing help for ventilators, and we'll choose who gets them and who doesn't. You can't pay your way out of this one. You don't have any other choices, and you're not allowed to leave the country either, so well done, we're going to fuck it over and you're going to have to pay for it. Thank you, government. But the good news is that, because of the self-isolation and the quarantine, that people won't be going to work. They won't be following this mentality that's been around for decades, if not longer, that everybody has to go to a particular place in order to get work done. But people can instead work from home and balance their home work life better. More to their own choosing. They don't have a 9-to-5 grind, as it were. Obviously, there are benefits to this, just like if you work from home, it's recommended that you dress the part because that puts you in a better state of mind. But nonetheless, hey, if you care for the environment, then surely you'll love the fact that we're not driving to and from work, so that's great. It also means you're saving a lot of time from not going on your commute, and you'll likely find with a little bit of readjusting, you're more than likely just as productive, if not more so. Similar to homeschooling, of course, which is why they can't shut schools, because otherwise, well, children will be homeschooled, and then we'll realise that children can actually get taught, and the parents don't have to worry about paying for something that is having a negative impact on their children's life. So we can't have that, otherwise they'll really let the cat out of the bag. But at least for the adults, they'll realise that working from home can be just as beneficial. Twitter, in fact, has recently told all of its employees around the world to stay at home and do their work from there, so it's the same thing. If you're looking for a more globalist approach after all, then seeing as you can't all be together anyway, you might as well be from home, and then it's just as well connected as it is having a bunch of you in different offices dotted around the globe. So he has unveiled a 10-point plan. One of these is not like the others. Stay home if you have a cough or fever, just like you would regularly. Don't call NHS 111 or visit the doctor. Yep, they're leaving you on your own. You pay for it, but you can't use it. Only hospital patients to be tested, because, as I said before, if you've been out of the country into one of the worst affected areas, or if you've been in contact with somebody who has confirmed to have received coronavirus, can you actually get tested? You can't just choose to do it. You can't pay to do it through the NHS. They don't have an option. So you can't try and be helpful and say, okay, hey, I've got it, therefore I'm going to isolate. It's just I might have it, so I'm going to have to isolate. How am I going to get paid and do my job? Well, if I can work from home, I'll do that. But if I can't, then I'm fucked. If it involves seeing people and it involves more manual labour, then no, I can't do it, and they're really fucking me over. So thanks for that, seeing as in Italy, some places you'll be facing up to 21 years in prison, I believe, for essentially willful murder if you go out during their quarantine, because hey, then you're spreading this lethal virus and you're doing it willingly. Therefore, hey, it's a criminal sentence. I doubt anybody's going to get sentenced to that, but nonetheless, having the law on the books for such instances is quite a concern, because if it's there, it means they can use it. So, also, self-isolate if someone you live with is ill. Yep, stay with them. But he does say, do try and sleep in separate beds if you can. Good job. Bear in mind, they say keep 2 meters from vulnerable relatives, but it does have an effective range of up to 5 meters and lingers in the air for half an hour after that person has left. So not as bad as like the cold, which I think is 48 hours, and so like steering wheels if you share cars is a main way. Somebody gets out, you get in the next morning, and you get it from them. But this is half an hour at least. Overseas school trips cancelled. Okay, even though it's in the country already. The outbreak will last until June, they say, so enjoy spring. You're fucked. And then over 70s should avoid cruise ships. Well, they're already known as as places people go to die, after all. You go for 3 or 4 months because you think that's your last few years. That's where you spend your golden years, which are just a few months. And you intend to pop your clogs because you don't want to come back to living like you were, because you realise that the whole golden years was a myth and you should have actually been enjoying life while you still had it. So, good job. But no ban on mass gatherings. Like you had the English Football League, the Premier League, having their matches, and it was supposed to be, we'll have it behind closed doors and just televise it. And they go, yeah, but it hasn't got the same feel to it. We need the fans there for it to have the authentic experience. And they caved and went, yeah, okay, go ahead then. Right, I would have thought a bit more pushback would have been healthy. And that schools stay open, because, hey, 16 weeks would be too long, because also, they say children need to go out, they need to be able to play with their friends. Oh, funny that. Are you saying that children don't do well when they're cooped up in a room, not able to move freely? Isn't this how schools are, and have been for ages, and nobody's decided to move forward with them? Well, maybe it's about time then that we think, if that's your concern for children trying to stay home, and you're not thinking that they're playing too many video games and communicating with friends online, then maybe you also need to rethink how the education system is set up, if you really think children do well when cooped up in a classroom like that. So they say the government's new plan urges anyone with even mild coronavirus-like symptoms, a persistent cough or a fever, to quarantine themselves at home and to sleep alone if possible and stay at least 2 meters from relatives. Sorry, it's just an introvert's dream. The PM has also recommended all overseas school trips be cancelled, while people over the age of 70 or those with pre-existing serious medical conditions have been told not to go on cruises. Yeah, you'd be on your own. But he stopped short of more extreme measures such as closing schools and banning mass gatherings, which have been adopted in Ireland, Norway, France and Italy in an effort to stem the spread of the virus. Which means for everybody else, we still get good road travel. I mean, the traffic's not as bad. So that's nice. He says, at all stages we've been guided by the signs, we will do the right thing at the right time. The number of UK cases has risen by 130 and the death toll hit 10 in the last 24 hours, with experts increasingly bracing for turmoil as the overwhelming majority of the population becomes infected and the country develops herd immunity. Which is fantastic. That's what we're looking for. We will pull through, we will push through, and trying to protect everybody from everything will never work, because there will always be a chink in the armour, if you will, and something will come through. The same as with words and the same as with this virus here. Hopefully this will then be extrapolated out to saying, well, you cannot protect somebody from foreign interference, from unliked intervention, and therefore you've got to be ready for it and deal with it as it comes. I'm not saying welcome it in, but understand that it is going to be there anyway, so you have to address it head on and not just try and brush it under the rug. So Chief Scientific Advisor Sir Patrick Vallance said he believed the true number of infections was likely to be 5 to 10,000 already. He estimated the UK was 4 weeks behind the trajectory of the crisis in Italy, which has brought the country to its knees. So hey, start shorting the FTSE 100. The peak of the outbreak in the UK might not come for 10 to 14 weeks, the expert said, suggesting it will run into June. So go to some fields, enjoy some tranquil time, do things online. It's good for anybody in my business. If we're making YouTube videos, there's more eyeballs than our content, so you've got to find the silver lining. Mr. Johnson insisted comparisons to seasonal flu were wrong. This is more dangerous and is going to spread further, and I must level with you and the British public. Many more families are going to lose loved ones before their time. Despite the blood-curdling warnings, Mr. Johnson said the UK would not close schools yet, even though government advisors admitted the move would help stem the outbreak. Basically, given that he was worried about what it would be if you had to keep children at home too long, it wouldn't be good for them, and that if you get the timing wrong, it won't help anyway. So they say closing down schools could also put elderly grandparents at risk if they were asked to look after children. Rekindle the family unit, who are believed to be less susceptible to the most severe form of the disease but can still spread it. The scientific advice is that this could do more harm than good, but we are keeping this under review and this could change as the disease spreads. Schools should only close if they are specifically advised to do so. So, hey, school's still in. It's not out for summer yet. Because it would almost be running into the summer holidays being in June. You just about have enough time for your GCSEs and your A-levels. Mr Johnson conceded that Scotland was already banning mass gatherings, but suggested there was a particular issue with the resilience of their public services north of the border in a perceived swipe at Nicola Sturgeon after she undermined him by announcing her plans first. Don't care about the squabbling. Don't care. We are not saying no to that sort of measures. Of course not, Mr Johnson said. We're keeping it up our sleeves, but it is very important that we get the timing right. Well, yes, of course it is. So, as we see, of course, there's exponential growth, as of course you'd expect. You've probably seen the warning for America go around to say that, yeah, even if you're wrong by within your margin of error, the difference is only 10 days, given the amount of hospital beds that are needed, the amount of hospitals that are ready to receive people with corona-like symptoms, coronavirus, COVID-19-like symptoms, and therefore it's not looking good. But hey, there seems to be another Chinese innovation, just like the Spanish flu was. But it's racist to say it's to do with China. It's like, well, yeah, but you had things named like Lyme disease and many others for ages. So no, pointing out where it's from isn't racist, it's accurate. But I understand that trying to suggest that geographic facts are true can be perceived as racist by some people. So hey, who cares anymore? So BT's chief executive tested positive for COVID-19 on Thursday. He's taken it well, basically just saying self-isolating and telling people who he's been in contact, well, hey, maybe you should get yourself tested as well, because the NHS now says that you can, which is delightful. So we've got a few hundred cases, 10 dead, and in and around Manchester and Liverpool as well, so I'm looking forward to that. But it just means working from home and just trying to keep the money coming in, basically. So we've got Scotland's response as well, but we can leave the Social Nationalist Party alone. Yes, I know the S stands for Scottish. So essentially, Johnson is saying, just try and keep yourself safe. We're not going to intervene because, hey, we're trying to pretend that we're conservative in some ways at least, and not copying Russia sufficiently, which has had 28 cases, I think, to date, throughout the entire expanse of Russia, seeing as it closed its border with China quite quickly. So they're actually dealing with it quite well. And Russia does have pretty shut-off borders, so well done to them. But it is good, as I say, basically trying to pull the positives out of this, as long as you have your food stockpiled, because you might need it. As long as you've got food stockpiled, you're healthy, you're active, you keep yourself clean, you're going to be fine, basically. If you can work from home as well, develop some new skills, use this time as a bit of a unintended holiday. But if you're not in the holiday mood for relaxing, then you might as well plough that effort into something of following your dream more so. Pick up an instrument, learn a language, read books, that kind of thing. Work on your projects, then you might come up better for it. And if you do become ill, then just enjoy fasting, and you'll lose some weight. You'll recover quicker as well, and because it's fasting, you'll lose a lot more fat than muscle, so you'll look a lot better for it as well. You'll feel a lot better for it as well. So hey, it's a win-win-win. But unfortunately, the government guidance does include that you cannot go for a walk, but you can use your own garden. Then again, I think if you're going out to national parks, you're not going to confront too many people. If you're living in tower blocks, you might have a problem. Oh, a bit too real. So anyway, everyone, stay safe. Enjoy your hand sanitizer collection, like the TikTok, as the teenagers are showing off their hand sanitizer collections now, due to this being life. Stay safe, stay clean, stay active. Keep doing what you're doing. Put one foot in front of another. You'll be fine. You'll see it through. If you want to make it far in this world, you've got to adapt. So until next time, have a good one.